Hello, hello. So today we're going to be talking about the song Sanfona Sentida. Okay, so this is another big Forró classic. It was composed by Dominguinhos and Anastasia, and anyone who was in Bahia and Lisboa in 2019 might have attended the interview given by Anastasia on one of the afternoons. And for me this was fascinating because she talked about her relationship with Dominguinhos. They were together for many, many years, and they were also composing partners. So she told us how Dominguinhos would write the melody to a song, and then she would take that melody and compose the lyrics to it. And together they wrote over 200 songs. So many, many of the Forró songs that you know and love were written by Anastasia and Dominguinhos. In this song, Sanfona, I think many of you will know already, is the name of the instrument, the accordion. And sentida comes from the verb sentir, which is literally to feel. And here we're in the past participle, so felt. But the idea here is not simply felt, a felt accordion, that's a little bit weird. It's the idea of feeling with a slight negative emotion. So it's melancholy, it's sorrowful, wounded. So we could perhaps translate it very approximately as sorrowful Sanfona. You also have a very key word in the line chora sanfona sentida. Chorar is to cry or to weep. And so this song draws a parallel between the melancholic, sad sound of the sanfona, the crying of the sanfona effectively, and the feelings of the singer, who's feeling, it doesn't explicitly say it, but let's say heartbroken would probably be a good word. And it's very interesting because at the same time as this parallel of sad music, sad feelings is being drawn, the singer is also talking about how the more the accordion plays, the more the singer is able to give himself to love. And that the music of the sanfona's cry, helps him to hide the pain in his heart. So it's a curious mix of sadness and melancholy, and also the beauty of losing yourself in the music and the music bringing something better to you. For this song, I'm going to translate paragraph by paragraph. So this is where you might want to make sure you have the lyrics open on your screen as well. And then after each paragraph, I'll talk a little bit about a couple of important words. So the first paragraph starts with "Come, my love, vem amor, vem cantar, come and sing, because my eyes are wanting to cry. Leave the hurt and mágoa for afterwards. Love is greater together." All right, so I'm going to start with the structure ficam querendo. So ficar is a word meaning to stay, a verb meaning to stay. But when we use it in this way with the verb ficar, ficam in this case, querendo, with another verb with an endo or ando at the end, it's a way of showing an ongoing action. So it's not just that they want to cry right now, but they are wanting to cry, more continuous, all right? We then have in the last line, importante, o amor é mais importante. Now in Portuguese, it's good to know that importante can mean the same thing, important, something of value, something valuable, something relevant as well, but it can also refer to the size. So important in terms of size, a considerable amount, an important amount. And so that's why I've chosen here to translate it as greater. Greater in terms of size, but also greater as in bigger and better. Voila. Moving on to the next paragraph, we have that famous chora sanfona sentida. So cry sorrowful sanfona, moaning in my chest, or rather in my chest moaning. Continue hurting, and my chest of love is dying. Now let's break this down a little bit because it's a curious paragraph. The singer is talking to the Sanfona. So chora Sanfona Sentida, cry sorrowful Sanfona. It's kind of an instruction. And then the moaning in my chest is a description. And then we go back to talking to the Sanfona. Vai machucando. And here, continue hurting is the very functional translation that I've come up with. Because machucar means to injure, to hurt, to wound. And vai, the verb ir, plus ando or endo, just like in the previous paragraph with ficar, is a continuous action. So I could say, for example, vou aprendendo, okay? I go learning, literally, meaning I'm learning. It's a process, it goes on day by day, vou aprendendo. And so here it emphasizes that this hurting, this injuring is going on, it's ongoing. And then that final sentence, meu peito de amor, meu peito de amor vai morrendo. So my chest of love is dying. And you'll find this a lot like in many types of poetry, where the subject and object are not always in the typical subject-object order. The final thing that I wanted to mention in this paragraph was gemendo. So gemendo is often translated as moan, but not moan in the sense of to complain. Moan as in a low sound of pain or sadness. A lament almost, if we want to be a little bit more poetic about it. And it's a verb that you'll hear not regularly, but a fair bit in Forró music. I think straight away about I Am a Gemeu is another very famous song. Moving on to this final paragraph. Quanto mais chora, the more you cry, you being the Sanfona, I give all of myself over to love. And your moan, this same gemer from the previous paragraph, disguises or hides in my soul that pain. So disguises or hides that pain in my soul. As I said, gemido is the same idea of a moan. I'm not 100% happy with that translation into English because I feel like it doesn't quite capture the feeling of the Portuguese word. But so far, I haven't found anything better. So you know it's a low, sad, painful, sorrowful sound in many cases, in this case. And the final word that I want to pick up on is entrego, me entrego. So this is a verb, it's a reflexive verb, so a verb you do to yourself. Entregar-se in the infinitive. This is one of my favourite words in Portuguese. And I don't yet really have a translation. I'm not sure I ever will. It is the idea of giving of oneself. It's not abandoning it yourself, that's a little bit too strong. But it's this idea of surrendering, abandoning yourself that is so relevant in dance. So we talk about entrega, okay? A good dancer has entrega, the ability to give themselves to the other while maintaining a connection to themselves at the same time. So this is a fascinating word and one that I hope you will hear again and again if you open up your ears for it. And one that when I'm teaching, for example, I use entrega and I explain as best I can what it is. But there isn't an English way of expressing this. You might have noticed that this is a relatively short song, at least when we look at the lyrics. And it follows a very common structure in Forró, whereby you have the lyrics, and then they're basically copied and pasted, and then the second half of the song is the same thing again. And so that's the case here, and it's the case in many, many Forró songs. So as dancers, be alert to this. If you listen actively to the first half of the song, even if it's a song you don't know, you will have a much better idea of what might be coming next. Voilà, that's everything for today. Happy listening. Sanfona Sentida.